Talk, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk, people.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Make We Talk program. Our host today is Mr. Dale Holness. I'm co-hosting with Mr. Dale Holness today on Make We Talk Money. Good afternoon, Mr. Holness. Welcome to the program, sir.
Good afternoon to you and to everyone in Radio Land. It's Friday afternoon. Good afternoon. It's a Friday afternoon here on WZOP, WZPP Radio. We're live from 96.1 FM in Miami, 92.7 FM in Fort Lauderdale, 1590 AM in St. Petersburg, 103.1 FM Hollywood, North Miami, 105.3 FM Vero Beach, the St. Lucie area, 99.7 FM in Orlando, Winter Haven, Lake Mary. We can also be found on WZPPradio.com. Call your friends. Tell them about the Voice of the Caribbean. We entertain, we educate, and we empower. And we are here talking money as usual on a Friday afternoon, 1 to 2 p.m. It's paycheck time, payday for most people. And we certainly see the Republicans doing stuff that doesn't make sense at all when it comes to the money. We should get beyond this and govern in the best interest of the people we serve as elected officials. And unfortunately, the few who do wrong cause damage to those who do well and do good. And most people I know in elected office are sincere. They care. They want to ensure that life is made better for the people who they serve as elected public servants. We have a guest on with us that we'll be bringing in a few minutes. But it is essential that you not get discouraged or disheartened in the democratic system of government. It ought to be or should be, and is said to be, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And the only way it's going to be that way is if you understand your power. It is if you understand that your vote is your voice, your vote is your power. The minute you disengage and say, well, like them non this, them non that, and don't understand that it's your government. It is you who are the government. By being engaged and paying attention. And so many people I hear sometimes call in and they speak, and honestly, they think they know a lot, but God, I hope they would spend some time watching a county commission meeting, watching a city commission meeting, watching C-SPAN and see what's going on in the Capitol and understand the dynamics that exist in finding a way to bring about policies that are beneficial. And there are so many policies that are out there that benefits people that they don't get engaged with or understand how things have changed And I hear folks saying, Biden is an old man and he's too old, and the Democrats are too wrapped up in LGBTQ and abortion. Yeah, all of that might be so, but at the end of the day, who has your back the most? Who is making a move to change the rules and regulations and the laws that will benefit you? And sometimes you don't see the direct benefit, so you get upset. But let's look at student loan. Every which way the Republicans have blocked Biden to give some assistance to those who are overburdened by high student loan and the high cost of going to school. He's put billions of dollars into HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, like FMU, FAMU, Florida A&M University. So much money that's been put there now. And these are the colleges that many of our students go to, not all of them. But then enhancing the opportunity for additional amount of funding through Pell Grants and through other ways for students to get an education. Put training dollars in different places to help those who might have been previously incarcerated, those who are having a difficult time, working to reduce costs. There's so much that we overlook and we get emotional. This afternoon, I have a very good friend of mine on the phone with me, someone who has a long story. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my friend, Richard Campbell. Yesterday we had on Stanley Campbell, who is running for the U.S. Senate, a scientist, a person who has served America in a great way, to put his life on the line to defend and to protect our democratic system of government, and then come out and is given back in a huge way and is developed systems, technological systems that can benefit the people of the world. This afternoon, I have a good friend who goes many years back with me, someone who's very true, a very loyal friend, who I know has my back and who's been there for me, and I've been there for him over the years. Mr. Richard Campbell. Richard, I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about your start in life, where you're born, and a little bit about your educational process. And I know you were a teacher. I know you went to Cuba to study. You habla mucho español, mejor de mío. Better than me, better than mine. So, Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born, and where did you go to school?
Hi, dear. How you doing? And I have to call you back because somehow there's an echo in the line. So if you don't mind me calling you back, because it's on my side, it's echoing.
Do you have the radio being played?
No.
Okay. We can hear you quite well over here.
Well,
we're not getting an echo.
Okay. All right. Let me try and work with it.
Okay.
I would probably rather call you back because
no, go ahead. No problem. No problem. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Maybe, a distraction. Let me call you back.
Maybe you get a better connection. No problem.
Yes.
All right. So we'll continue talking a little bit about the political arena. So we have news today that Senator Dianne Feinstein has passed away. It's unfortunate that she didn't resign earlier, and unfortunately, too often we have people who don't pass the baton on. Certainly, as was the case with the congressional district here, my good friend Alcy, who endorsed me at the end, would have been great if he had given us a little more time, but he served well, and so did Dianne Feinstein. Not to take away from their long history of service, it was a powerful period of time for both Alcy Hastings, who served many years in the U.S. Congress representing Florida in a dynamic way. Dianne Feinstein did the same. Certainly a woman who led the way for other women, and Alcee led the way for other black folks, and was not uh, bashful or shy about letting folks know he was a black man who cared about black people and wanted to make sure that there was inclusion. Dianne Feinstein did the same thing for women across the world in her leadership role in the U.S. Senate, serving many, many years, decades there. It's now the challenge who will replace her. But I'm sure someone will step up and someone will be appointed for the rest of her term until next year election. She'd already had indicated that she wasn't going to run in 2024 for re-election. Richard, you're back.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
It's much better.
Okay, fantastic. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing, and as much as you want to share with us. I know you've been on WZOP before, but let's give you an introduction to the people of South Florida and Florida as a whole.
Well, Dale, let me start from teenage in terms of I attended Mount Day High School, that is in St. Thomas. And what is amazing, Dale, and I even look at my kids now, and although they have social media, all the new technology, but we at the time were so involved as teenagers in the community. I was a part of Jamaica Youth Council. This was a Canadian organization in Jamaica that did wonderful work with youngsters. We attend summer camps, and it was so instructive where we were able to do very manual stuff, laying blocks, constructions, and it was a good opportunity for us to do things outside academic performance. And then I was part of Jamaica Union of Democratic Youth, which took over from Jamaica Youth Council and continued to give us extreme exposure in terms of our civics understanding of Jamaica. And outside of Jamaica, the Pan-Africanism, where we were very much in tune with Marcus Garvey and the development in the continent of Africa. I was also a part of Central United. For anyone who is from St. Thomas, it was based in License. And it was us as youngsters, teenagers, no adults, that we ran that club for many years. They're running it means getting money and every single thing that we needed, having our fundraisers and so on in to sustain ourselves. So from a very, very early age, we were able to command an environment in which we took responsibility for our own destiny. So that made me prepare me for who I am as today.
Mhm.
I came from a very working class background, very humble, rural person who went through the normal process of youngsters not having much but surviving, and was extremely proud of the little we had at that time in life. After high school in the late 70s, I did 2 years of national youth service. There, I don't know if you were in Jamaica at the time of national youth service.
I think I left
Um,
just about when it got started.
yeah,
It was-
that that did that did a lot for youngsters. I did 2 years as uh, youth sports community officer in the uh, western part of St. Thomas, which includes Yalas, for those who understand St. Thomas, Mount Day, and License. And we serve a lot of youth club, churches, community groups. deal, it was a tremendous experience.
But you were
So
you went to the Adventist church at the time too, didn't you?
yeah, well, I grew up as a Sunday Adventist. In fact, on its own, it had its own development for youngsters, which has to be given credit for who I am today also. And but the National Youth Service was something that gave us tremendous leadership opportunities, exposure not just in the parish but throughout the parish, because we had to organize youngsters and various community activities to go elsewhere in the country. After National Youth Service deal, I was one of those fortunate persons that got
Scholarship.
scholarship, 4 year scholarship to study in Cuba. In fact, at the time, Dale, my parents had little or nothing, so going to college was very challenging in terms of, and I was so blessed to get a scholarship just at the right time. In order to take that scholarship,
You sure
Dale,
they
I
didn't
had
send you to indoctrinate you to be a communist?
well, that's propaganda. In fact, at that time, I had to do 1 year of study, 1 year of Spanish in Jamaica
Uh,
at the Spanish lab in Kingston. In order to take up the scholarship, I had to be fluent in Spanish, and I had to because we studied in Cuba in Spanish, not in English.
mhm.
So I did 4 years in Cuba, all bills paid by the Cuban government and to a lesser extent the Jamaican government. It was a major step for me
So did you go to
because
Cuba to learn about politics and communism, or what did you learn when you go to Cuba?
no, I did physical education as a teacher. In fact, I did a short internship which was required by the program in Jamaica, and I was at Calabar High School doing that internship. That was in 1980, just in that big election where Siaga won.
Yeah.
It was. I was at Calabar High School at the time. In fact, the youngsters had to take off their epaulets when they're leaving school at the time, because at that time in Jamaica the color thing was green
And orange and
on the street. On the street, you have to disguise what color you walk around with.
crazy.
But so
So
I
in Cuba,
graduated in
you learned physical education as a teacher.
yeah,
And
yeah, that's what I did in college.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
and habla mucho español.
Well, I not
And
only speak
and
Spanish. I was a Spanish teacher at Ferncourt High School, both Spanish and physical education. I did so since 1982 to 1988, which I left Ferncourt and came to the United States.
oh, so you actually utilize the skill set that you learned in Cuba as a physical education teacher, and also utilize the Spanish to teach children in Jamaica how to
Well,
learn Spanish.
initially I was hired as a Spanish teacher,
Okay.
and I also was in the PE department, which I was the director for soccer and also assistant coach for track and field.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, and that has propelled you to do some of the things you're doing here. You know, one of the things that to take away from what you talked about here is how young people were more engaged in community back then. I don't know that I see the similar engagement. I was a Boy Scout, and that kind of helped to build and foster relationship with others, how to get along with people, how to communicate with others, how to take a leadership roles in organizing and in getting things done. Seems that that's something that you learned at an early age, and probably the reason why you and I give back so much, because we participate in these kind of things. I was in 4-H in Jamaica before I left. Came here and got involved in student government because of those engagements at that early stage. So you came to the United States in what year, Richard, and where did you go when you got here?
I can hear it, but as you mentioned before, I move on to that, Dale, is that a friend of mine once said to me that, my sons are constantly in the community, and it's my fault, which he's saying as a dad, it's his fault because he injected them so much in the community. It's like they were on drugs.
Mm.
And I feel somewhat the same because of my participation in the community from early age. You're talking about Boy Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a cadet in high school. I was the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I was also a part of the Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm.
So you check off all the above. And as a youngster, it was not something that we were told to do. We just wanted to do it and enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped to create who we are today.
Better than joining a gang, eh?
Precisely. Where the gang thing was out of it, we spent all the time doing stuff at the park, and so there was no time to be involved in those negative things. I came to the United States 1988 in Brooklyn, and which I was a social worker there, foster care and children and family, which there it was an introduction to the United States. Not in the corporate world, but as a social worker, I
In the
have
community.
seen things in the
Mhm.
community
Mhm.
that I didn't believe I was in the United States, because the extent to which those who we have not seen are going through tremendous struggle. And there are a lot of families that have lost their kids because they were not able to take care of their kids. In some cases, because of drugs. In some cases, because of their sheer poverty.
Mhm.
And I spent a good while in Brooklyn and the South Bronx. I again was employed because of my bilingual status. So most of my um, cases were in South Bronx, where it was mostly Hispanic.
Mucha gente de Puerto Rico.
Sí, sí, cómo no.
Yeah.
So I spent a significant time there as a social worker. I also returned to study, and I studied at Hunter College, where I did a bachelor's degree, and I was majored in political science and econ. And
So America, you
after
come.
leaving,
America, you come get brainwashed into politics, not Cuba.
well, in fact, I was more brainwashed here in Jamaica because in the United States, because I actually studied politics and the view of politics through the eyes of the United States.
We're gonna come back.
And
We're gonna come back after this break, Richard, and we'll continue the conversation.
okay.
Certainly, we're here on WZOP, WZPP Radio.
Listen, 92.7.
Join me, yours truly, Jeffery Tavares, on Make We Talk on WZPP on WZOP Radio this Monday, October 2nd, 2023 from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. U.S. time or 12 noon to 1 p.m. Jamaica time. My special guest will be President of the People's National Party and Opposition Leader Mark Golding. We'll be discussing issues facing Jamaica and Jamaica's future. We'll be live on the Make We Talk Jeffery Tavares YouTube channel, WZPPradio.com. Our studio numbers are 850-446-0562. That's Make We Talk on WZPP Radio. Join me, yours truly, Jeffery Tavares, on Make We Talk on WZPP and WZOP Radio this Monday, October 2nd, 2023 from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. U.S. time or 12 noon to 1 p.m. Jamaica time. My special guest will be President of the People's National Party and Opposition Leader Mark Golding. We'll be discussing issues facing Jamaica and Jamaica's future. We'll be live on the Make We Talk Jeffery Tavares YouTube channel, WZPPradio.com. Our studio numbers are 850-446-0562. That's Make We Talk on WZPP Radio. Join me, yours truly, Jeffery Tavares, on Make We Talk on WZPP and WZOP Radio this Monday, October 2nd, 2023 from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. U.S. time or 12 noon to 1 p.m. Jamaica time. My special guest will be President of the People's National Party and Opposition Leader Mark Golding. We'll be discussing issues facing Jamaica and Jamaica's future. We'll be live on the Make We Talk Jeffery Tavares YouTube channel, WZPPradio.com. Our studio numbers are 850-446. Join me, yours truly, Jeffery Tavares, on Make We Talk on WZPP and WZOP Radio this Monday, October 2nd, 2023 from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. U.S. time or 12 noon to 1 p.m. Jamaica time. My special guest will be President of the People's National Party and Opposition Leader Mark Golding. We'll be discussing issues facing Jamaica and Jamaica's future. We'll be live on the Make We Talk Jeffery Tavares YouTube channel, WZPPradio.com. Our studio numbers are 850-446-0562. That's Make We Talk on WZPP Radio.
FM Hollywood, North Miami, 105.3 FM in Vero Beach, 99.7 FM in Orlando, Winter Garden, Lake Mary. We are here this afternoon again talking about money. So we're going to talk to Richard now about money because he talked about what he saw, former commissioner for the city of Lauderhill, who actually replaced me when I moved on to the county commission. So Richard, in the South Bronx, which still actually have a lot of poverty. I was there recently to visit my sister, who happened to actually attended Hunter College also for education. She actually taught there for a while. So you saw a lot of poverty in the South Bronx.
There are families who sometimes I wonder in third world countries, what's the difference when you're poor, regardless if you're in a third world country or you're in the United States. They are living in extremely difficult. In fact, when I came to South Florida, I was in Palm Beach and I work with the Juvenile Justice Department. Mm-hmm. And I listened to you over the years pushing for reform. And I never put my little piece in it. But I worked with the Juvenile Justice Department in Palm Beach County in 1991 to 94. And there, there are so many Jamaican parents that I've spoken to say, send your boy back to Jamaica and let them start over. Because once you get into the system, is a one-way street. The system is not going to reform you. The system is going to ensure that you can't get out. I used to sit in my office deal and read reports and laugh. The sort of things that youngsters are placed in institution for a year are simple things that most youngsters do, lightering and all sort of trump up charges. And I go to the courthouse, and the public defenders have hundreds of cases.
Too much. They can't handle it.
So they call you up and you spend a couple minutes. What do you recommend for this youngster? And most of these youngsters are poor folks. They don't have a big attorney coming with them.
Mm-hmm.
So their hands are in the system, their future.
Mm-hmm.
And in a few seconds, you have to come up with a suggestion. And sometimes it works and sometimes it don't work. Because you can't, in a comprehensive way, assess the situation and come up with solution that fits. You have to just, whatever is in front of you, you have to make a recommendation based on that. And in many cases, some of those youngsters, poor youngsters, especially of color, get a raw deal.
So that's one of the reasons why I work so hard. And you mentioned some of the things that I've pushed for in Broward County, where I expand the civil citation program, where someone caught with a small quantity of marijuana, weed, Mary Jane, whatever you call it, don't get wrapped up in the system. I mean, heck, President Barack Obama said he did take a few smoke. Bill Clinton said he didn't inhale, but he puffed it anyway. To have young people, and now finally the system is looking to declassify marijuana as a hard drugs, which we are ranking with cocaine and heroin and all of that. That makes no sense at all. And if you look at who uses the drug, blacks don't use it as much as white as a percentage of their population, yet they end up in the system at a much higher percentage than white folks, and it robs us economically, because now these young people have a difficult time earning a living, so they don't have money coming in. It is a cycle, as you said, that keeps them going in and out, because now they got in for petty crime, which in most instances, you said, is minor stuff. We should be chasing after the people who are doing hard criminals. We should be looking to get the murderers and the rapists and those people who are really doing hard things to society. And we don't usually do that. We the cops are on the corner. We should put educational people on the corner. We should put job training people on the corner. The police department should be equipped with a social worker to help when
I
they
don't
go
want
out
to put you on the I don't want to put you on the spot publicly, but if I intend to write a book, and hopefully I can team up with you, the juvenile justice system in the United States is something worth writing about. I have seen it up front, and believe you me, it is scary, and it really need big time reform. Too many of our kids and families have been destroyed because of how the system. The war against drug was a war against poor people.
And targeted black
middle
people
class
and brown
and
people
rich
more than
folks.
yes.
Yeah, middle class and rich folks in their well protected environment uses sometimes more drugs than the little guy who, because him sit on the corner and the cop pick him up and just for a little smoke. It's something. History will not be pleased how the system has dealt with ordinary poor people.
So Richard, you were in Palm Beach there, then you moved to Broward County, and we teamed up many years ago, but
Mhm.
particularly on CASA, Caribbean American Soccer Association, where I actually work with you to ensure that young people had a sports environment using your background and my political goodwill to open up the sports park on Oakland Park to bring these young people together. We actually went down and got some scholarship money from Sun Sentinel, amongst
Mhm.
others, to help these kids. You're bringing in scouts and recruiters from colleges and professional teams, bringing Jamaica's top players up. And we brought kids from Barbados, from Brazil, from Trinidad, from different parts of the world to participate in the game of soccer to give them exposure for opportunities for scholarship. But sports help children and young people understand camaraderie, how to work together, how to be team members, how to communicate, how to set goals, how to be disciplined, how to be focused. It's really, I think, a powerful developmental tool that we don't usually do much of. And I know that when I got elected in 2004 to Lauderhill, we were out there on the front line trying to get access to that park in the city where we had more folks over there from Weston than anywhere else, much wealthier area. But we've changed that. So talk a little bit about your life here in Broward County, and it's such an intriguing life that you've lived. It's good to share, but let's get to that. And I know you're back running for the city of Lauderhill. We're not even going to get too much time to get into policies. We're going to talk about you a little bit and your life experience. We've got about 15 minutes left. So let's continue that, and maybe we'll bring you back another time to talk about taxation policy and how we really, as elected officials, find ways and means to empower, educate, inform, and move communities forward. But tell us now that you're in Palm Beach, you're within the criminal justice system. Let's move on from that to your move to Broward County.
Well, my move to Broward County was a blessing deal. In fact, while I was in Palm Beach, I again went back to school, studied physical therapy at Lynn University, and then decided to do my graduate study in physical therapy at Novos. I decided Broward County. So I came here. I became the president of my homeowners.
Association.
In fact, after association, after been a couple of months here, I took on that community and spearheaded the changes in that community. Then in 2004, founder of CASA and been the president since then until last year. And I could not have made contribution to coaching and so on because of the change of lifestyle in terms of focusing on my profession. And therefore, I decided that, there are other ways I can make a contribution. So we started CASA, and as you mentioned, Bill, the very first 5 years, we were able to raise over $30,000 thanks to you all. So, in fact, we initially we had a thing with Fund Sentinel where we get matching funds and they will match the funds that we were able to get and help a significant amount of youngsters going to colleges. Since then, we have changed the whole thing. Instead of focusing on getting a couple dollars for youngsters, we decided to open the possibility of getting scholarships. So it's more long term and it's more viable. And so in 2009, we started the Youth Classic where we did it around Jamaica because the person in Jamaica that was the director of Intersecondary School Association, we went to school together and we met and decided that, we need to do a little bit more for youngsters. So hence that program was started. It since 2009 and hundreds of youngsters, both in Jamaica, Barbados, to a lesser extent Trinidad, and local youngsters here were able to make their first step.
We had some
In
Haitian
fact,
kids too. Let's not leave AD out because we had some
yeah,
Haitian
yeah,
kids.
yeah, yeah. But there were more. Yeah, we had Asian. They participated for 3 years in the program, and but a significant amount of youngsters who before their parents were coming up with $5,000, $6,000 just to take them to California and make folks glance at them. We were able to do it free of cost here, and were able to reach more of our ordinary youngsters than otherwise they would be paying to go to all these fancy places, and nobody sees them. So that was a tremendous move. CASA has been around for now 19 years. It's going through transition at this point in time. There are work to stabilize it, but hopefully it will be around for another 20 years.
Well, you said you
But
said a strong foundation, Richard, and CASA is now the second largest uh, soccer league, football league in the state of Florida. Are we still number two, or where are we now?
yeah, we're somewhere around there. I've not looked at the most recent article. But what is very important about CASA? It's the only diverse program here in Florida. Most programs are community reflective folks, either their Spanish leagues or their Anglo, but CASA has everything. And it was deliberately organized. In fact, the word CASA means house, and it was a closest thing that we could come up to demonstrate a big tent.
Caribbean
Because we
Americas
did
Soccer
not,
Association, inclusive of all
yeah,
the Caribbean and the Americas, everyone in the region.
precisely. It was deliberately done that way because we wanted to make sure that it reflects a very diverse community. And as you mentioned, Bill, again, I publicly have to say thanks to you. This came about when you were on your way to Lauderhill, and when you got there, the struggle we had to even pass by the field was a history of a lot of fights and a lot of meetings and a lot of twisting arms, if I can use that word.
But
Eventually,
here's a lesson for our audience, and I mentioned it before you came on, Richard, that they need to understand that their vote is their voice and they're empowered. They are the government. By putting me in office in Lauderhill, we changed that. It became now that they said CASA rules the park, because not only did we bring soccer in, football, we brought in the netball, young ladies, we brought in cricket. The whole thing changed to reflect the community that we served in terms of their participation in their own community where they pay their taxes, that they have some control. So that's a part of a lesson that I think or people need to. It's not always the huge things at the national level that you have to pay attention to. Your local government actually impacts your life more directly than does the national government here and anywhere. I mean, your local government. Yes.
In fact, as you mentioned that, I am now struggling with some of the members in the organization that indicate, boy, they don't want to get involved in politics. Let me just say, Bill, that CASA is the only program in the entire Florida, and could be in the United States, I've not done that research, that is fully supported because of politics. And when I said politics, we have access to all city facilities. No other program in the state has that opportunity. And it's because of our involvement in the community. I sat on the Park and Recreation Board deliberately for over 12 years, just to ensure that we just don't pass through We're a part of the system. Running for office in Lord Hill allows the system to understand that you're not just somebody passing through and asking for things. You're making a contribution and you're involved. And that is exactly why we were able to make these tremendous strides. No other organization, no other program in the entire state of Florida is able to have the influence and the impact as CASA on any city. And it's because the work we have done with the city and because we have been involved and because we sit on boards and committees. And I'm encouraging folks when you talk that you're not getting involved with politics or city or government, you need to get involved.
It is
And
your
that is
government,
what,
it's your city, not somebody
yeah,
else's. And if you leave it for someone else, then you're going to get what you get, nothing.
yeah.
So your engagement ensure that your voice is heard. So you vote yes, and you should contribute to candidates who are good people also. But you also need to take ownership, and that's something that I've done throughout my life, being involved in many nonprofit organizations, civic organizations, sitting on different boards of cities, and those kind of things that really forms the backbone of community involvement, community engagement, in ensuring that we are at the table, not on the menu, that we're there, not basically getting crumbs dropped to us because we're under the table, but because we're on the table, we get a slice of the cake. That's a part of what I think we ought to be doing more of as a people, to ensure that we're fully engaged in this. And Richard, now you CASA has given hundreds of opportunities for kids to go to college. It also has helped them develop into productive human beings that are fully participating in our society. Tell us a little bit now on the political side as to your service as an elected official. You got to the city commission in Lord Hill after I left by 2 years. We
Mhm.
worked together to get that done. We helped some other people along the way that we thought would be more helpful to us, but they weren't. So you got involved because you wanted to make sure that many of the things that I had started continued, especially support for CASA, education, the chambers of commerce, and home ownership, and so many other things that still needs to be done within that city. Now you ran for city commission. Tell us about your experience in running for city commission in Lord Hill, the experience
You
of
mean
serving.
from there?
Well, no, we're going to go back to when you started, when you ran for the city
Oh,
commission,
okay, okay.
when you got seated as a city commissioner, and even how the taxation and the prioritization of taxes and fiscal responsibility, how you saw that. We've got about 7 minutes left before we finish this program.
Okay. One of the things that I have, which I knew before, but really was able to prove that um, historically we normally have people doing our bidding, and even the formation of CASA, I have been in many meetings, and there's some folks who are anti certain things, but there are genuinely some folks who don't understand because the things that you're advocating for, it's not their experience,
They don't have the lived
and they don't
experience.
understand.
Yes.
Yeah, and therefore it is so important that we are here living in the United States, and we can't sit back and expect other folks to be doing our bidding for us. We need to get to the table. And I can tell you, I had to break down the whole importance of having our community events at the park and why it is so important to our community. Because a lot of folks didn't have that vision and don't understand clearly. So it's important for us to get involved. It's important for us to sit where the money is so we can make sure that some of the money come to us and not go elsewhere. If we're not there, what is the chance of people ensuring that things come our way? It is almost zero. And therefore, the time I've spent at Lord Hill, I realize even for our small business folks in the city, minority folks, nobody's advocating for you. You have to go there and advocate for yourself. And if we are not there and doing it, the question is why you think the guy next door who, one, don't understand who we are, two, don't have our interests at heart, why you think that person is going to do it? And so we need to be at all levels, be there to get as much. And you mentioned about finance. Finance is key to almost every single thing we do. We have survived for centuries just getting a little of the crumbs off the table. It is important for us to stop getting crumbs, but to be there. So when things are sharing up, we get our fair share out of it. It's important to help us as a community, as individuals, to move forward. And I'm encouraging our folks, especially those who say them don't vote or them don't take part. If you don't even want to do it for yourself, do it for your kids and your grandkids.
Certainly.
We should no longer depend on others to do it for us and then we complain. We should do as much as we can for our community.
And I hear a lot of people complain. And I tell you, you know what I find? Oftentimes the people who complain and have them see the most problems, most issues are the ones who don't participate. I mean, I talk to folks, I remember a guy telling me all that's wrong and all of that and how he's lived here for how long. I said, are you a citizen? No. So what the heck you telling? What you complaining for? You haven't become a citizen. You haven't registered to vote, and many who are citizens, and that's why I started the citizenship drive that I did for these years, where we got over 7,500 people registered to become citizens of the United States, get their citizenship and get registered to vote. So if you see a problem, be a part of the solution. And if you're part of the solution, the truth is this, you'll be speaking more constructively as to what needs to be done, rather than just tearing down and saying all the bad things about this one and that one and the other one, and not forming solutions and bringing forth solution. Too often I hear people complain without saying what the solution is. So Richard, we've got 2 minutes left. You're running again you ran for mayor, didn't make it. You walk and knocked on every door in Lauderhill, and you're such a loyal soldier. For me, I'm truly grateful. Let me express my gratitude to you now, because in my last 2 campaigns, you knocked every door in the city of Lauderhill for me and passed my information out. We didn't make it, but you are now contesting for a seat on the city commission. How does people find you? Website, phone number? How do they reach you if they want to help you make a campaign contribution or volunteer to help your campaign?
Well, keep listening to the station. I'll be getting on shortly, frequently. My telephone number is 954-895-4832. But let me just say something.
Let's do it again slowly, Richard, because we got only about 30 seconds left. What's the phone number again? 954-895-4832. Slowly, Richard, you're going too fast.
954-895-4832. And my motto is, as long as I'm in the community, I will be part of the community, and I will be doing whatever is necessary to make sure that we get the best out of the community. There will be talking some more.
Until next time.
And
listening to
just take care.
WCOP 92.7 LP FM.